Hello class, this is Dr. David Gregg. I'm here giving a brief introduction video to help people navigate this class. Currently I'm viewing the course online in student view, hopefully to make it as close to what you'll be seeing as possible. I'm Dr. Gregg. As you can see on this first page here, this is the home page online. Since this is going to be a fully online course, you'll be going here quite often to complete assignments, find your readings, and submit all the necessary things to complete this course. As we see on the home page here, we have the introduction video that you'll be able to watch. There's also a little bio here for me, more information about your instructor. I don't often put a lot of news on this front page here. I'll probably more often send you emails with any extra information or fixes as we go through the course. So what I want to show you are just some of the main points in being able to access and navigate the course. Most importantly, I'm going to first show you how to look at the syllabus whenever you need to check the assignments and due dates. So first we go to content. This is where we'll be spending most of our time on this course. First thing I want to show you is the overview here. So up here on top we have overview. You just click on overview right there, and you will have access to the syllabus anytime you need to look at it. On the syllabus, there's going to be a lot of extra information, all the important stuff you need to know for completing this course. Please review this syllabus several times from start to finish. Make sure you read everything in detail, because this will give you all the necessary information to succeed and do well in this course. Pay particular attention to the bottom of the syllabus right here, where we see a course schedule, where it gives us all of the dates for when assignments are due. So make sure to be very familiar with this. It will also show you links to how to download the reading assignments. The reading assignments will also be available here on the modules. So this is where the syllabus is. Make sure to keep that in mind. You can always go to Overview to find it. Another great tab in the content section is Course Schedule. You just click Course Schedule, go to Full Schedule, and you'll be able to see all the assignments when they're due, and they will be organized according to their due dates as well. So we can see when different things are going to be due here. Next up, we're going over to show you the different textbooks. So as you go through the syllabus, I want to make sure that you can all see the textbooks that are required or recommended for this course. So I'm going to click over to a tab here. This is textbook number 1, Co-occurring Disorders by Charles Atkins. This is a very organized textbook that we're going to be using a lot in the beginning weeks, so be sure to get this one first. Next up is this Dual Disorders textbook by Daly and Moss. This one we'll be using a little bit later on. This one goes into a bit more detail when it comes to personality disorders and how they co-occur with substance use disorders. So this one will be important to have too. Make sure that you grab a copy of that for sure. Finally, we have DSM-5, which I strongly recommend that you get. This isn't a required textbook for the course, but it'll be very useful because what you'll notice is during this course I'm going to be very picky about the use of specific symptoms. Whenever we talk about different cases, I want us to really be using the symptoms as they're described in the textbook in this DSM-5. But of course, you can put your own personality to these symptoms as they may relate to your fictional cases. So these are the two required textbooks, co-occurring disorders and dual disorders. I highly recommend you either get the DSM-5 itself. What you can also do is get the DSM-5 desk reference, which is a smaller version, cheaper version, and it lists just all of the main symptoms, so it's a bit more organized in that way too. Okay, so those are the main textbooks. Moving on, I want to just show you a little bit about how the content on this course works. I'm going to be adding a student introduction module. This will just be something for students to introduce each other, get to know each other as a general discussion for everyone to participate in. It's optional, it won't be graded. Below student introductions, we're going to see the case assignments These are three larger assignments that are going to be due interspersed throughout the um, semester. They don't line up with my weekly modules because they're going to have different due dates. For instance, paper 1 will be due March 6th. The case discussion will also be due March 6th. I want the case discussion to basically be a discussion where you talk about and introduce your case study to the class. So that's why they're due at the same time. I would very much prefer that these be about the same case, the one that you do for paper 1 and the person that you present for case discussion. They don't have to be. I'm not going to take any points off. I just strongly recommend you use the same person. Same thing for paper 2, the treatment plan, which will be due April 24th. I would also like it to be the same that you use for paper 1 and the case discussion, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. Just be sure to view this case assignments page from time to time to make sure you're staying up to date with when these larger assignments will be due. Up next, we have the weekly modules. Each one will be begin with a W, the number of the week, and then give you the general title for the topic of that week. So this is where you're going to go from week to week to complete what I call the weekly assignments, which will be a combination of Dropbox assignments and or discussion assignments, as well as lecture responses. Every week we'll have a lecture response where you will be answering questions based on the recorded lectures that I've uploaded. As you can see here, for week 1 we have 3 parts to lecture 1, lecture 1 part 2, part 1, part 2, and part 3. I've also included an additional brief lecture for some edits that I've made from errors over time, just to fix a few little things here and there. Before you will be able to see lecture response 1, you will have to access all 4 parts of this lecture and view them. Then you will be able to access lecture 1 response. Another important detail to note here is that some people may not be able to access some of these lectures if they're using Apple products or Safari browser. If you have any difficulty accessing any of these videos, be sure to try them on Chrome or a different type of platform. I'm very sorry about that. It just turned out that some of the software on this site doesn't seem to work well with Apple products or Safari. So always make sure to give it a check to see if you can use it on the Chrome or some form of software that uses Chrome. Okay, so what I want you to do is really pay close attention to the details here for each one of these assignments. I'll have everything listed out that I want, so make sure that you cover each and every piece as you go through and create these assignments and submit them here as Dropboxes or as discussion assignments. We'll see for next week, week 2, which is about assessment, you will have a discussion topic due instead. So just keep in mind that the format will change. I have a word count that I'd like you to be able to stay at least relatively within this word count. For discussions, you will also have a reply that will be due the next day. All of these weekly assignments will be due on Saturday evenings before 12 a.m. the next day. So make sure that you're getting these weekly assignments in by those Saturday due dates. And then for the discussions, you will have until 6 p.m. Sunday the next day to complete the reply to at least one other student's topic. Once again, we see the lectures here, and then lecture response 2 will open up once you've completed these lectures. Okay, so now that we've seen kind of the general case assignment and weekly flow, there's one more thing here I wanted to show you, which is the final exam. Down here at the bottom, below week 12, you will find the final exam. This is just a descriptor here. So this gives you a pre-test and a study guide to actually access the exam, which you'll be able to do on the final week, the exams week. You'll go to assessments up on this different tab here and go to quizzes. Once you're in this area, you'll see the ADA 6400 final exam, which for this semester will be open for you to take between April 26th and April 29th. Be sure that you are ready to take the full exam when you begin, because you'll have to complete the exam within 100 minutes. you won't be able to pause that time. So make sure you give yourself enough time to have your notes and everything else ready to go. This exam can be very tricky, so make sure that you are well prepared for it ahead of time. Alright, so that being said, I also want to show you one other thing in the Assessments tab here. If you're looking for additional detail about what and how I grade assignments, go down the Assessments tab and click on Rubrics. When you go to Rubrics, you'll see that I have rubrics, so these are kind of grading structures, grading platforms for various assignments. For our case discussion, discussions in general, drop boxes in general, so these two right here, those are for those weekly assignments. These are for the papers. If you want to see one of these outlines for a rubric, just click on the little arrow here and click preview, and it will show you all the different details and areas and how I generally grade these papers. There may be other reasons I might take points off for papers, but these will at least give you a broad idea of what I'm looking for when you're completing these various assignments. Okay, so that's kind of the basic in and outs of this course. Of course, there's going to be more details, more questions you may have. Be sure to always look through this syllabus in as much detail as you can, especially if you have any questions about the assignments further. You'll see a lot more information here in the evaluation section of the syllabus. Also very important to notice is down here at the bottom, after you're done looking at the calendar of assignments, there's a couple extra details. These are some frequently asked questions about different assignments. For instance, what do I do about late assignments? Details to keep in mind for the papers and the exam. Things right here are important to keep in mind. Also, of course, a very important thing for me to mention is academic dishonesty. I do check for plagiarism. Please do not copy anything from any source unless you properly cite it, and make sure that none of your assignments include more than 1/3 direct quotation. So keep direct quotations very brief. Make sure that you familiarize yourself with all the different things that constitute plagiarism, including copying your own work. For instance, when you are doing two assignments down here, we see that the case discussion and paper one are intended to be about the same individual. So make sure your case discussion description is at least a little different than how your paper one looks. I don't want to see too much copying and pasting from your own work, anybody else's work, or anything online, unless you get permission and proper referencing. Alright, well that's everything I'd like to say for now. Feel free to always email if you have any further questions, and I wish you all the best with this course. Take care.